Right, let's have some quiet, please. Quiet on the set. Quiet.
The senior witnessing is taking place in the colour television studios of the Marconi Company at Chelmsford in England. We're just about to record a television broadcast. You'll be seeing that in a moment. Now, I'm the producer, and while they're getting ready, I'd just like to fill in some details on the equipment we'll be using. The Marconi Company is Britain's largest supplier and exporter of black and white and colour television systems. The company has been continuously developing colour television for more than 15 years, and its equipment has been in constant operational use for more than 12 years. The BBC's experimental colour television service started in 1955, using exclusively Marconi equipment. These Mark VII colour television cameras won the Queen's Award for Outstanding Design and Achievement in British Industry. When they were first introduced and demonstrated, they made an immediate impact on the world's television authorities. Over 130 of them were ordered by North America alone. Well, I think it's time we got on with our show. Thank you. Ready to go, Ron?
Yes, all ready.
All right, yes, when you are, thank you.
Right, quiet everybody. 10 seconds to go. 5, 4, 3.
In introducing the history and latest developments of the world-famous Marconi Company, I feel I need make no apology for overworking the word first. For the history of the Marconi Company is inseparable from the history of radio itself, and its early years were crowded with events of vital significance, with Marconi first in the field on every occasion. Guglielmo Marconi arrived in England in 1896 as a young man of 22. The patent granted to him in June of that year was the first in the world for a method of telegraphic communication without wires by Hertzian waves, the basic system from which all radio, as we know it today, has stemmed. In the following year, he founded the world's first radio company to develop his work on a commercial basis. Before long, he established radio contact across the 8.5 miles of the Bristol Channel with sufficient strength for the wireless transmission to be received on a standard post office type recorder. In this same first year of the company, Marconi set up the world's first permanent wireless transmitting station on the Isle of Wight. The first paid wireless telegram, known as a Marconigram, was sent from here, as well as the first radio transmission to a ship at sea. Within 2 years, Marconi had established the first international radio link between England and France. Then came a major breakthrough. In 1901, signals transmitted from Poldhu in Cornwall, England, were picked up by Marconi and his team of engineers at St. John's, Newfoundland. And this is Marconi's pocket diary recording the event. Here it is, Thursday the 12th, 1901, signals at 12:30, 1:10, and 2:20. And even on the proverbially unlucky Friday the 13th, signals at 1:38. The 2,170 miles of the Atlantic had been bridged by radio, and the future of worldwide radio communication was assured. That's quite a piece of history. 6 years later, the first commercial transatlantic wireless service was in operation between the Marconi stations at Clifton in Ireland and Glace Bay, Canada. For much of his experimental work in later years, including the development of shortwave beam radio, Marconi made use of his ocean-going yacht, Elettra. He bought this in 1919 and fitted it out as a floating radio laboratory. Here, working at all hours of the day and night, he was able to carry out experiments which would have been difficult to achieve on land. An Italian poet described this yacht as the shining ship that works miracles penetrating the silences of the air. And it saw much of the remainder of Marconi's life work until his death in 1937. During the lifetime of this great pioneer, in addition to its earlier achievements, the Marconi Company fitted the first ship with wireless in 1901, the first lifeboat, the first lighthouse, the first lightship, and it provided a microwave radio beam for harbor direction finding and ship navigation. The world's first wireless transmission from an aircraft in flight was made in 1910 using Marconi equipment. By 1920, the company had offered the first commercial design for an airport direction-finding station. In that same year, one of the more famous early broadcasts took place when Dame Nellie Melba sang from the Marconi works at Chelmsford, England, using this microphone. This is actually the microphone. I don't know what this wooden cigar box thing in the front is for, but at least it provided an opportunity for Dame Nellie to sign her autograph personally on it. Well, there's another piece of history. Two years before the British Broadcasting Corporation was born, Britain was being provided with her first regular broadcast programs from Marconi stations in Chelmsford and London. Marconi's provided the transmitter and antenna systems for the world's first public service of high-definition television, which opened in London in 1936. In fact, it was my privilege to introduce those first programs for the BBC from Alexandra Palace. Well, Marconi was in front then. Today, it's the world's foremost company in a much wider field. Through the years, it's grown into a consortium of 12 group divisions, each of company size. And it's widened its activities with the increasing atmosphere of specialization in the electronics industry to cover the entire range of radio applications. It is, in fact, the largest exporter of capital electronic equipment in the United Kingdom. In 1967, the company and its associates took export orders valued at £40 million. Marconi, in its own field, exports twice as much capital electronic equipment as France. In fact, as much as France and Japan combined. The company's production has increased by an average of 12% over the last 5 years. Marconi believe very strongly that the sale of equipment of any type must be accompanied by strong supporting services to the customer, both before and after sales. Marconi's overseas subsidiary and allied companies, technical representatives and agents, cover the entire world. The whole of this overseas representation is backed up by the many Marconi companies and factories in the United Kingdom. You know, the Marconi company is rather like an encyclopedia. It's in almost everything, no matter on what page you look. It's in the air, at sea, and on the land. It's in avionics. Marconi is Britain's largest manufacturer and exporter of air radio equipment. It pioneered Doppler navigation. It produced the radio navigation and approach guidance for British European Airways' Trident automatic blind landing system. Marconi is Britain's largest manufacturer and exporter of air traffic control systems and air defense radar systems. The company produces the largest range of ground radar equipment in the world. The recently introduced Marconi S600 series is well on the way to becoming a world beater. From a range of compatible basic units, one can build up systems to meet virtually any operational requirement and to function in a fully transportable and mobile role, or in a variety of static situations in any climate, in any part of the world. Marconi is Britain's largest supplier of satellite communication earth stations. And it's in automation. Its computer-based automation systems use the Marconi Myriad, which was the first commercially available microelectronic machine in the world. The Marconi microelectronic capability is centered in a recently completed plant, the largest in Europe, devoted purely to the manufacture of integrated circuits. The Myriad computer has been used extensively in national military defense systems, air traffic control systems, and in various automation applications in industry. Marconi has been a major supplier of radar systems for the Royal Navy and foreign navies for many years. Its wide range of equipment provides early warning, surface warning, target indication and fire control facilities, with the company undertaking the planning and installation of complete systems in collaboration with the shipbuilders. Marconi is in harbor control and coastal radar. Its surveillance radar, designed to withstand rigorous weather conditions, has received worldwide recognition. The company has developed radars using the Doppler effect for the continuous measurement of velocity on aircraft carrier flight deck operations and hovercraft, and for use in the calibration of artillery equipment in the field. Marconi is in specialized components. Planning for advanced equipment calls for components which do not yet exist and for components with characteristics in advance of those that do exist. Over the years, Marconi has specialized in ferrites and quartz with techniques, materials and devices that have led the field. Marconi's advanced technology accounts for 1% of the United Kingdom's gross national investment in research and development in all fields. This represents 20% of the total research and development expenditure by the British electronics industry. Marconi is in training too. Its college, founded in 1901, and other training centers and laboratories enable its employees to achieve the highest possible qualifications. These facilities are also available to engineers of other organizations in Britain and abroad. Special courses in the operation and maintenance of Marconi equipment and systems are available too for the convenience of its users. The company's activities in digital communications are founded on the experience of some of the world's finest telecommunications engineers. They include automatic telegraph message switching, data processing and telegraph data transmission, telegraph multiplexing and error correcting, pulse code modulated telephony, and the production of an electronic teleprinter. Marconi has been a world leader since it broadcast the world's first advertised radio program. And apart from its activities in Britain, it supplied over 300 transmitting stations to other countries. The company's current range of radio communications equipment is the largest in the world. This covers static and transportable, high, medium, and low power systems in the range 15 kilohertz to 8,000 megahertz, VHF, tropospheric scatter, and microwave point-to-point systems. Marconi is exporting over 80% of its total turnover of radio communications equipment. It's the basis of the telecommunication systems in over 100 countries, and it's installed in ships of 16 of the world's navies. Their latest high-frequency self-tuning system, known as MST, introduces, so far as possible, the concept of automation into transmitting and receiving systems, enabling complete stations to be controlled by one man, by remote control if necessary. Marconi is Britain's largest supplier and exporter of closed-circuit television systems. They're in use all over the world in educational establishments, factories, commerce, power stations, flight simulators, military defense systems and aircraft carriers, air and road traffic control, and even underwater. Marconi received the Engineering Award given by the United States of America's National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences for outstanding achievements in television. That was in 1961, the first time it had been awarded outside the USA. In recognition of the independent development of the 4.5-inch image orthicon camera and pickup tube, it was conferred jointly on Marconi and its associated company, the English Electric Valve Company, and the Radio Corporation of America. This orthicon camera became the standard against which all other television cameras are measured. Today, Marconi's equipment for television studios and transmitters continues to set world standards. The company has led in all these fields ever since the bridging of the Atlantic in 1901 with that first transmission of radio signals from Pordew. This is the memorial to Marconi at Pordew, commemorating the great event. And now, only a mile or two away, as the only British company with experience in building complete satellite communication earth stations, Marconi have been called upon to build a second station at Goonhilly. This is a model of the 90-foot antenna system that will be used. Capable of covering the entire satellite communications band, it'll be able to provide comprehensive telephone, data, and television links between Great Britain and well over 2/3 of the inhabited area of the Earth, making it possible for many different nationalities to keep in direct contact with each other. Now I'd like to introduce you to a man who can tell us in more detail something of the activities of the radar division.
Thank you, Leslie. Ever since radar first came into being, it has been constantly associated with one thing: the safety of mankind. Today, the stage has been reached where operations in air defense, air traffic control, and naval roles would be inconceivable without radar. It follows, therefore, that the radars for such vital services should be of the highest performance and utmost reliability. The Marconi company, who, as we have seen, pioneered world radio communications, has been intimately connected with the development of radar since the very earliest times. Today they produce the most comprehensive range of ground radar equipment in the world, and the proven quality and reliability of their advanced system concepts have led to the ordering of Marconi radar systems by almost every country in the world. The company is Britain's largest exporter, with over 2/3 of its total production of civil and military radar equipment going overseas. Major radar contracts awarded to the company over recent years have involved the equipping of close on 50 of the world's airports. Europe's first fully automated air defense data handling system in Sweden. The NATO early warning chain, in which Marconi were the chosen contractor to equip all stations from North Norway to Turkey. Selection of the company as sole British member of the consortium to build the NATO air defense ground environment, which is to deploy the latest technology in data generation, data handling and display to weld the entire NATO defense network into a single coordinated machine. The complete re-equipment of Britain's air defences in the early 50s, involving over 30 stations. Major contractor for the current United Kingdom defence system called Linesman. And producing the flight plan processing system for the London Air Traffic Control Centre at West Drayton. The company was head of the consortium to supply the data processing system for the Eurocontrol Centre at Bretigny and supplying secondary radar for the Eurocontrol centres at Brussels and Shannon. The company's prime activities in the civil field cover radar overall systems for air traffic control, such as these 50-centimetre installations at London Airport, which provide uninterrupted airway cover in one of the busiest air traffic areas in Europe. This radar is unique in its resistance to bad weather. The combination of 50-centimetre wavelength and advanced signal processing give it unparalleled clutter suppression and performance against precipitation. The Heathrow installation has now been further extended. Some 50 of these equipments have been supplied to civil aviation authorities around the world. High-definition 12 and 16-inch displays present radar information for operational use, employing flexible solid-state backup equipment which can be put together to give an extremely wide range of display and data handling facilities. There are also daylight displays which enable air traffic controllers to work in well-lit rooms or even in full daylight in an airport control tower. Marconi has a wide experience in display and data handling systems based on the myriad high-speed online computer. This expertise has been applied to the automation of air traffic control, for example, for the processing of flight plans and the display of flight progress information. In air defense, automatic data processing can increase the capacity of a system and speed up its response to the intruder by the automating functions of target extraction, target tracking, and control of interception. The company also leads in secondary surveillance radar with its Challenger equipment. In the civil role, Challenger interrogates a transponder in the aircraft and automatically gives the identity and height of each response. Marconi have been suppliers of radar systems for the Royal Navy and foreign navies for many years. A wide range of equipments can be offered which provide early warning, surface warning, target indication, and fire control facilities. The company produce harbour surveillance and coastal radar systems that have received worldwide recognition. They're designed to withstand the most rigorous weather conditions. Their electronic velocity analyzer automatically performs and records a complete analysis of velocity performance. This Type 360, known as EVA, can be used for the regular calibration of artillery equipment in the field. Based on long experience, the radar division has evolved a complete range of air defense equipment to meet the needs of the 1970s. This covers the static systems for major military installations. For example, an updated version of the back-to-back radar, which is already in wide operational use, gives complete cover, resistance to electronic countermeasures, and exceptional clutter suppression. The new static height finder, the most powerful of its kind in the world, adds a three-dimensional capability to the system. For extremely arduous cross-country capability, there is a range of high-performance surveillance and height-finding equipment which can be rapidly deployed under the most difficult conditions. The company has also evolved a new range of radar equipment which is modular in design and which can be put together to meet a wide variety of operational needs. It consists of a number of basic transmitter receivers, aerial systems, and display and data handling elements. Special emphasis has been placed on cost-effectiveness, reliability, ease of maintenance, and flexibility of operational application. In addition to static situations, the equipment can be stowed for cross-country mobility. Is designed for helicopter lift and movement by transport aircraft. Starting from a single surveillance radar head with basic display facilities which can give early warning cover or can operate as a gap filler, one can augment the system with another surveillance head, can add further transmitters in diversity working to improve performance and add ECM resistance. And to give the whole complex a three-dimensional capability, one or more height finders may be employed. Further data handling facilities may be added, including automatic systems based on the Myriad computer. Whatever the requirement, civil air traffic control, fighter control, weapon control, air surveillance, coast watching, and so on, there's a combination of elements to meet it. In conclusion, I must emphasize the complete system capability of Marconi radar. Its engineers provide across-the-board service, which starts with the interpretation of an operational requirement and not only provides the client with the equipment tailored to meet his exact needs, but also covers, if necessary, the erection of buildings, provision of power supplies, domestic accommodation, and so on, and is backed by full support services of personnel training, maintenance, spares, and documentation.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what we wanted. We would, of course, expect Marconi to be expert in analyzing the purpose of a system, in carrying out radio propagation and site surveys, in studying the environment in which a system is to work. We'd expect it to design, develop, and manufacture the right equipment for the job, and then to install, commission, and if need be, maintain it. Less obvious, but nonetheless a fact, is that Marconi will take on responsibility for the civil engineering and architectural aspects of a project, and all other factors involved in turning over to the customer a complete working project. To sum up, behind the countless Marconi systems in operation in every country is one of the most comprehensive organizations in the world.